Hey, Wanderers, welcome to a Sunday One Take. I'm Steve,
And I'm Laura.
and we are the Wandering Empty Nesters. And if your kids are grown, almost grown, or you're finally getting to the point where travel feels possible again, this one's for you. Because empty nester travel is not just about having more time, it's about having more flexibility, more control, and a better chance to choose the trip that actually fits your life. The first big advantage is flexibility. When you're not locked into school breaks, spring breaks, summer vacation, holiday weekends, travel games, ball games, it seems like an endless list of things that families go through with kids. You can look at travel differently. Families with kids often have to travel when everyone else is traveling. Empty nesters, however, may have the ability to look at other weeks, other months, less crowded times.
Different locations.
Whatever
With
locations,
kids, you go family-friendly places.
I think it tend to go to a lot of the same places, right?
Yeah.
A lot of beach stuff. I mean, yeah, everybody eventually does like Williamsburg or the Grand Canyon, but generally you're going to Florida, Disney, your amusement parks, beaches, things like that. Those are the big places everybody goes. And shoulder seasons, we'll talk about that in a minute. Opening up the different times. Now, shoulder seasons obviously are outside of the high season. High season is when kids are off school. And that can sometimes mean better options, better cabin choices, better resort availability, or just a less hectic experience. Instead of asking, where can we go during this crowded week? Because we're limited to these particular days, you can ask, where's the best value for the kind of trip we actually want to take? That's one of the things I think that changed when you're not working around school anymore, is that you can start looking at places you want to go and when's the best time for you to go there. Like if you want to go to Alaska, July may not be the best month. It's definitely a good month, but it can be hotter. The sun stays up longer. There are
There's a lot
advantages.
of
There's a
mosquitoes.
lot of mosquitoes. There are advantages to July, but there are disadvantages to July. And I think when you can pick and choose your time frame, you can look around like what it is you want to do. It just makes it better. And that's every location, not just Alaska, though.
And we have friends that their whole vacation is booked around, like, traveling baseball teams.
Absolutely.
Like, they don't generally take vacations they want because they have to go take a vacation to follow their kid to play ball.
A lot of time their
And that's
vacation is
expensive, so that is your vacation
right.
sometimes.
Well, absolutely. A lot of times vacations for those kind of folks are built around where the tournament's being played that weekend.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you just try to build in an extra day or two
And it may not be where you
and
wanna
see
go.
sites around it. Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons Gatlinburg is such a popular location now for
Yeah.
tournaments. Myrtle Beach is now popular. They just built that huge baseball complex there for tournaments because people do tag a vacation at the beginning or the end. So locations like the beach, which are already busy, get even more busy because 1,000 baseball players descend upon it, and then they have vacation. So
Yeah.
Gatlinburg's the same way. We've stayed up there during a baseball tournament up there
That's
behind
a
Pigeon Forge Drive.
lot of teenage
A lot of
boys.
people on top of a location that already has lots of
Yeah.
people. So it can get that way when you're having to build your trip around the schedule of your kids. The second advantage is that you can build the trip around the experience, not just around keeping everyone busy. Family trips are great, but a lot of times family travel is about meals and schedules, snacks, activity, who's tired, who's bored, who needs what next, because you're not just traveling with that child who might be in the baseball game. You're traveling with your whole family,
Right.
and that means other kids who aren't participating in the sport. Empty nester travel can be a lot different. It can be slower, and that's not a bad thing. It can be more intentional. It can be about what you actually want to see, taste, experience, and remember. Maybe that's getting a balcony cabin that you really couldn't afford when there was five of you. Maybe it's about a quiet resort instead of a resort that had the giant water slide complex. Maybe it's about the wine tasting, or maybe it's private excursion. Like I understand that many people would done that private Tuscany dinner with kids,
Mhm.
but would they have enjoyed it the way? Would the silence that I enjoyed so much have been the same?
Yeah.
Because kids are going to be kids. It's not their
Well,
fault.
I think you need to also think about, those private tours and stuff. You also have to worry about car seats and diaper bags. And I mean, it's great to take a vacation with your kids because you're not taking it so much for the kids when they're little. It's for you.
You're building those memories.
It's your memory because, a 2 or 3-year-old's not going to remember that trip.
Right.
It's your memory. But there is an advantage to not having to worry about that and
Absolutely.
just be there.
And being an empty nester is about having had those memories and now building new memories. So what you're not just buying a trip, you're trying to those new memories that you can establish with just the two of you again when you've already got a whole chest of memories filled with your kids. The third advantage is that cruisers and vacation packages can now be a great fit for empty nesters, not because they're the only way to travel, but because they can make travel feel less overwhelming. With a cruise, as we often say, you unpack once. Your meals are available when you want, entertainment is nearby, and the ship takes you from place to place, and you get to experience something each day. With an all inclusive resort, a lot of the major pieces are already bundled together. And that can really be helpful for someone who hasn't traveled much or who wants to make the trip just feel easier because they've spent a lifetime making all the decisions. You still get to make choices, but you're not starting from scratch each and every single day. And for a lot of empty nesters, that's a structure that gives them confidence, especially for that first big trip. That's one of the things people worry about when they start traveling again is what if I don't know what to do next? So much of your prior travel was built around what the kids wanted to do. It
Mhm.
just seemed automatic because the choices were narrower in what they would do. So having the cruise or an all-inclusive package helps that out. Advantage four is that empty nesters can focus on value, not just the cheapest price. And that's important because the cheapest trip, we've said many times, is not the best trip for a lot of different reasons. Now, obviously, when you have kids, the cheapest flights and the cheapest cruise options, when you're doing it for four or five people, that's a real necessity because it's a limited budget. But we've learned as empty nesters, like in the flight area, the cheapest flight, not the best. I don't know that we know now. I was going to say I don't know. No, I do know. For international travel, we'll never do economy again.
No,
It's premium economy or nothing.
we
But
sound
it's
spoiled. I think traveling as an empty nester is more about spoiling yourself. And
well, you've earned it.
I'm not talking big time spoil. I'm just talking about maybe treat yourself to something that maybe you couldn't afford before. So like the better seats you said. So I think that's a lot of what it is
Absolutely.
spoiling yourself a little more.
And even and spoiling yourself sounds like you're gonna spend more money, right?
No,
But
no,
also, if you took a trip with the kids and the budget was $5,000, well, $5,000 split 5 ways gets you a certain amount of things. $5,000 split 2
two
ways
ways.
gets you a lot better things. The amount can stay the same, but the math can change greatly.
The trip
The
is
trip
different.
changes based
Yeah.
on the number of people participating.
Yeah.
So, the goal is not just the cheapest, the goal is the right trip for the right money. So, like we've just mentioned, sometimes it's spending a little more in the right places because it's available now that makes your stress level better and makes the whole trip better. And advantage number five, while it seems obvious, it just is worth spelling out. Empty nesters finally have a reason to make travel a priority. Travel probably wasn't a priority before, it was something you did every year. But priority was everything you did throughout the entire week, getting the family where they needed to be,
Mhm.
making sure everybody was fed, clothed,
Survival
healthy.
mode.
Survival mode, that's a great way to put it. But now travel can be the goal for the week.
Yeah.
Travel can be the plan on a daily, weekly basis, where before it was just this thought that we're going to do this over the summer break or the fall break, and it was something you eventually got to. Now it's a priority. Because again, it's about the memories, and the memories that last longer are the ones that we not necessarily spend the most money on, but spend the money on the things that we want to do better. It's not about irresponsible. It's about planning it early, choosing wisely, and making sure that the travel is now actually part of the life that you want to live and not based upon other parts of life that are having influence over you.
Now, one thing we hadn't talked about, and I think it's important to talk about, is traveling as an empty nester is also about reconnecting. You spend so many years just in survival mode raising your kids that I think now you've finally reached a point where you can reconnect. And some couples don't know how to do that. It takes practice.
When you have kids, there's always somebody else there who's occupying time, who's occupying the conversation. And I think
Just reconnecting as a couple.
a lot of couples do worry about that when they become empty nesters, that suddenly it's just the two of you. There are these gap silences, which are quite honestly, I think we both agree, fine. You don't have to have them all filled, but
No.
your life before, every moment was filled with noise, with conversation, with questions. And that silence initially can feel awkward. Then you take that silence and you move it out of your comfort zone and you take it on the road. When we first became empty nesters, when I first retired, we took those early short trips. We went up to
Mhm.
Cape Cod, we went up to the East Coast, and we were in different places. And, probably the first thing a lot of empty nesters don't want to do is that 14-day ocean trip. You want to get on to that, you want to do it, but maybe for some people, that first trip needs to be 3 or 4 small trips. It is an adjustment for sure, and
Mhm.
I think it's an adjustment that over time becomes easier, and this is where a travel advisor can really help because empty nesters may have flexibility now, but flexibility only helps if you know how to use it. And a good advisor helps compare the options, especially advisors who have now been there and done that. We help match the trip to your budget. We help match the trip to your new expectations and explain what's included and what's not, how to avoid the common mistakes and the mistakes that we made, help narrow down choices when there are just too many options. Because the hardest part isn't always knowing where to travel, it's understanding how to travel and where to begin. So if you're an empty nester or close to it, we want to know what would be your first big empty nester trip? A cruise, an all inclusive? Would you go to Alaska? Would you go to Europe, the Caribbean? I don't think I thought about either of those places. We went somewhere we could drive quickly.
Well, I don't know about quickly, but we did
It was a
drive.
good season.
It
We
was. It
didn't
was
really know it was
October in Cape Cod,
right.
which was beautiful. The leaves were changing.
We did not even know that was called shoulder season at the time. Drop it in the comments where you think you would go first or where you're planning on going first. And if you're not sure what fits your budget, your comfort level, or your travel style, reach out to us and let us know because the best things you buy are the memories.